Ah, Georgia, nature's favorite state. Let's hit the road and meet the farmers, producers, makers, and bakers who keep us all fed and keep us coming back for more. Straight ahead at the fork in the road.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand.
This week we divulge in the tasty freshness of a North Georgia dairy and creamery. Explore a rotating farm and cute farm store in the hills of Harris County. And learn about a Waverly Hall goat farm with both creamy and cheesy concoctions. But before all that, we need some coffee. And why not have it while enjoying a scenic overlook full of jumping goats in White County, Georgia? So what do jumping goats have to do with coffee? Well, as Charlie Britt will tell you,
I'm known as the old goat.
everything.
Many years ago, a Ethiopian goat herdsman named Kaldi was free-range feeding his goats. And so as they were free-range feeding, they would come up to these bushes that had red cherries on them. And coffee is a red cherry, like sweet little cherry that has a bean in it, and that's the coffee bean inside. These goats would eat these sweet little berries and they would start becoming hyper or jumping around. So henceforth, the folks in that part of the country, they decided to try it and drink it. And they got a little bit of a buzz off of it. And so then they decided to take it to the monastery, to the monks, and let them try it. So they would drink it and stay up all night and meditate. And so I'm not sure if that's a true story or not, but it's a great story because our name is Jumping Goat.
So as goats and people alike have enjoyed this natural pick-me-up for somewhere between 500 and 1,000 years, the roasting process has evolved and arguably been perfected by folks like Charlie.
I've always said the best cup of coffee is the one you enjoy. The coffees we offer, we think can help you enjoy those coffees more because they're either going to be Fair Trade Organic certified or Rainforest Alliance certified. So we roast small batch, artisan roast. I buy the very best coffee we can. And the other uniqueness of Jumping Goat, we offer maybe 7 or 8 different origins you can try. So you can actually come here and do a coffee tasting of, say, a Colombian, an Ethiopian, a Nicaraguan, a Guatemalan. There's several coffees you can try. What makes me tick as an entrepreneur is to create something different. So I created some wine-infused coffees, a Sriracha chocolate-infused wine coffee, a chocolate, and a Merlot infused. They're all done with Merlot. I created a bourbon pecan coffee, which is one of our best-selling coffees that I actually handcraft and make myself. I don't let anybody else do that. And now I have the formula, and I'm expanding that into the stout-infused coffees. You can put a stout beer in my stout coffee, and you're drinking the same thing. Mine's just better.
And as we all know, coffee drinking is as much a lifestyle as it is a refreshment. And Jumping Goat has 2 hotspots in both Helen and a few miles south in Cleveland that offer the coffee and those extra coffee lover amenities.
The concept behind Jumping Goat Coffee Roasters and Tasting Room is to create just a real nice, comfortable place to come. We have inside, outside seating, Wi-Fi, music on the weekends. We have a doggy park, and it's Juna and Millie's playground, which is our dogs. Let them run around. They'll enjoy a cup of coffee with their pup, or they can have a glass of mead. When you come into our facility, most people say, oh, it's so peaceful in here, so nice. And so we're not a party place. We're trying to shoot for a serene experience here with a view that's, I think, one of the best in the area. And then we have our other location down in Nakuchi Village, which is just right outside the curve of Helen. We actually have a stuffed goat there. We have people from all over that take their picture with that and put it on Facebook and different things. So it's just kind of an icon to go over there and get your picture with the goat and go inside and try a little taste of our coffee.
You can get Jumping Goat coffee all over the Southeast these days, for the word has spread, much by reputation. But it's here in Cleveland where the horns of the jumping goats themselves watch over the roasting operation. A coffee stop view that's hard to beat.
So for this location here, we have a specific logo for it, and it's a goat head with one of the horns being the picture of Mount Yonah and the other horn being the picture of Pink Mountain. And so the mountains are a big part of what we represent here. People love to come here and gel, drink a cup of coffee, and just enjoy the serenity of this area. It's about 7.5 acres here.
So as Charlie keeps roasting and the mountain goats keep jumping, you can rest assured that every trip to and through North Georgia will be well caffeinated. From the coffee to the cream, the mountain fresh cream of Claremont and the nearby Glowcrest Dairy. It's all about the family around here. Scott Glover and his wife Jennifer watch over 200+ happy Holsteins that roam the fields and chow down in their fancy freestyle barn, courtesy the Glover family at Glowcrest Dairy.
Well, we started milking cows in 2000 on our own, on a rented facility, and we milked there for about 7 or 8 years, and we started realizing and seeing how the dairy business is starting to change a little bit. So we were looking for ways to maybe add some value to what we were doing. We knew we couldn't grow, so we didn't want to milk a lot of cows, or really couldn't milk a lot of cows, so we started looking at other ways that we could add some value to what we were doing. We got to thinking about, the quality of milk that our cows produce, and we just thought it made a lot of sense to start looking at bottling our own milk. And we built Mountain Fresh Creamery and opened it up in 2011. We do a vat pasteurization process, so all the milk that we bring over, we do 600 gallons at a time, and we have to heat it to 145 degrees, and we have to hold it for 30 minutes, and then it's legally pasteurized. And once it's pasteurized, then it goes straight into the filler where we put it in our jugs and our bottles.
We also have a lot of folks that are lactose intolerant that can drink our milk because of the non-homogenization, and it retains that natural flavor of milk. And so that gives us a really good feeling knowing that people are able to experience dairy that haven't been able to in a while.
Scott and Jennifer's daughter Eliza is more than a helping hand. She and her brother play a major role and genuinely love the business of the dairy.
I'm out here 2 times a day at 6:30 in the morning and 6:30 at night. Cows at Glowcrest Dairy are like creatures of nature. They are our little old ladies, as we call them. They like things to be done at the same time every day. We'll come in, they'll get a milk, and they drink about half a bucket, which is almost a gallon of milk. We'll restock their feed, which is their grain, which we feed them in Amplicaf. And then after that, we'll pile on clean shavings on top, just so they have a clean bed, because everybody likes clean sheets on their bed. They're here for 8 weeks, and then they'll transition over here to our larger pens, and they'll get to go outside. We'll introduce grass to their diet, and we'll introduce hay, and they will no longer get milk, but they'll also get a grain, which is an Amplicaf feed.
All the technology that we have now, we took full advantage of that when we built Glowcrest 5 years ago, and so that was our freestyle barn. Our cows spend a good bit of time in there, especially during the summer months. We have the fans, the misters, everything's on thermostat, so we try to keep our cows as cool and comfortable. And in the winter time, cows spend a great deal more time outside, but we still have the barn for the nasty cold winter weather that we get, so we still have a good place to keep the cows and are able to better take care of them and keep them more comfortable.
So our cows have water beds, and they get cleaned twice a day during our milkings with fresh sawdust and shavings. It helps regulate their body temperature on those hot days, and it also makes them comfortable. So kind of like coming to Glowcrest Dairy for a cow, it's kind of like a day-at-a-day spa.
Eliza actually took my kids around to meet the calves and learn about how the process works. Tours are something they do quite often and quite well around here, and the kids love it.
Every cow on this whole dairy, all 200 acres, are all girl cows.
All right.
So you will only see girl cows here. We might be a little biased about our girl cows, but they're way better. These cows are just so loving, they're so kind, they're so just gentle, and I just love to be around them. Personally, I think I have the best job here on the dairy.
So we've seen the source, but how about the final product, or products? Just a couple of miles up the road is the Big Red Barn and Silver Silo, where the Mountain Fresh Creamery and store bring long lines of folks vying for the family's fresh milk and mouth-watering ice cream, served right out of the classic silo.
We make hand-dipped ice creams here and milkshakes with our milk and ice cream out of the silo. It's open year-round now, and we serve a lot of ice cream out of that window.
The cream extracted from the low-fat milk goes right back into your belly, just in frozen form this time, and in many different flavors.
We've been open now for 9 years. Nowadays, on a hot summer day, you can come by and they'll be lined out to the road waiting to get an ice cream.
We try to use all local inclusions in our products, so we use Georgia peaches, Georgia strawberries, and of course Georgia pecans.
And that's a final cherry, or chocolate chip on top when it comes to a Mountain Fresh Creamery experience, straight from a family who delivers straight from the heart. A delicious, creamy product creating smiles all over North Georgia. We now head west to the rolling hills of Ellerslie in Harris County, Georgia, to a pasture-centered farm where the animals' comfort and well-being come first. Farming these days is a mix of ancient techniques and modern-day science. Research and technology have made many jobs easier and more efficient through the years, but many have also learned that it's beneficial to better appreciate the land itself. Turntime Farms is a pasture-centered operation that aims to heal while at the same time produce clean food available to the entire region.
The mission here is we want to provide locally sourced, regeneratively raised meats, and so we do grass-fed beef, pastured pork, we do pastured turkey, eggs, and chicken. The goal here is to provide a healthy, well-raised meat while also regenerating the land and being good stewards of both the land and the animals.
Daniel Horde operates everything on the farm using nature as a guide. This means that cows graze on fresh pasture every day. The chickens are able to forage and scratch, sanitizing those pastures left in the bovine wake. It means the pigs live in wooded areas where they have the freedom to root and graze. It's a lot of work to run a farm this way and requires true passion. The rotation. What I've noticed, there's greener spots in some areas. Tell me how that all works.
That's right. So everything on our farm is based on a rotation. Nothing stays in the same place for very long. Some things get moved every day, like our cows and our young chickens. Some things every 3 to 4 days. We use no synthetic fertilizers or pesticides on the farm, so our only source of fertility is from our animals. We move everything because we don't want the fertility to stay in one place. We need to move it around. So the areas you talk about, David, are places that our chickens were recently. So they go there, they leave nitrogen on the ground. As soon as we get a good rain, which we've just gotten, those areas will immediately green up and will outperform the areas that haven't received that fertility as recently.
And there's a role for the cows, there's a role for the goats that followed.
That's right. We send our cows through first in our rotation into a pasture. We let them have, because they are the meat producing animal that we're using, we want them to have best pick of the forage, but what they leave behind is often undesirable things like weeds, but goats love them. So the goats come behind, and since we use no herbicides to kill weeds on the farm, those goats are how we keep those weeds in check. They come behind and they browse and eat the weeds, eat the leaves off of the plants and break the photosynthesis cycle down, which over time keeps the weeds, sometimes puts them out of commission altogether, or just keeps them in a relative check so they don't take over our pastures.
And you guys are some Georgia Tech educated folks.
I have a degree from there, but I decided to put it to work here on the farm. And so a lot of farming takes a lot of engineering. A lot of our pens or mobile coops like we saw in the egg layers back there, those aren't things you can pick up off the shelf. Those are things we have to invent or build that fit our farm and our model.
You have a store here. People can come visit and you encourage that.
Absolutely. So our model is really seeing it to understand it.
What can people find in the store?
We carry our own products, which is grass-fed beef, pastured pork, pastured chicken, pastured turkey. We also carry eggs that are pasture and non-GMO raised. Then also we support some of our other local farmers. We carry some goat's milk soap. My wife is a potter. We carry her pottery in there. Pecan Point does a whole milk yogurt and a granola that we carry in the store. So our goal is not to work against other farmers in our community, but we want to work together, and that's why we support and try to highlight them in our store as well. Usually if you can get a group up, they kind of all in unison. Now they're running for this. I don't know what they got. So turkeys don't rank very high on the intelligence level.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're more erratic and sporadic like this here, but they're really social and they enjoy visitors, and you can use, they'll interact with you more, much more than the chicken will. Much more than the chicken, but they're not, chickens are a lot smarter.
Really?
Yeah, chickens are a lot smarter. I mean, I'm not saying a chicken is smart. I just think it's smarter. Yeah.
Smarter than
smarter.
these guys.
But the smartest animal we have on the farm by far is the pigs.
Okay.
Pigs rank really high. Like if you look at a list, like they're like top 5 animals.
Thinking.
They're thinking, and they're always like looking for a way out, looking for an escape, looking for, like, they're always plotting. And see, they're funny. But they're super fun too, a lot of social creatures.
Now we've gone out, met some of the animals. Let's talk about the bulls you have out there.
We raise here on the farm a South Pole breed. It's a breed developed in Fort Payne, Alabama in the 80s. So not every cow performs well on grass only. A lot of them need to be propped up with supplements or grain, and that's not our model here. So we develop and work through a breed which is based on the South Pole breed that does well on grass only and can sustain the heat that we experience here, obviously, in the South.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Thank you, thank you.
And curious.
Particularly the mamas right now, as since they're close to calving, you can start to see their maternal instincts kick in to where when they're not pregnant, they don't necessarily pay as much attention, but the closer they get to calving, you can see their protective instincts start to heighten. They're starting to think, I need to protect what?
We're predators.
We're predators, that's right. So our mission here is to provide local food. We don't ship, our model isn't to ship. It works for other farms, but for us, we want our customers to come to us and see the farm and understand it. We will do a local home delivery.
And there's restaurants in the community that work with you. Not just because you're local, but because it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So we love to be at a family's dinner table. We think it's an important part of our model. We want it on our own table and we want it for there, but we love our restaurants. We love our restaurants because it allows a larger number of people to experience our product. It also oftentimes is prepared by a chef who really knows how to care for particularly the grass-fed beef, which sometimes can be a little more tricky to cook than maybe what some people are used to from the grocery store. And so having a chef who handles it well, it highlights us well, and we love to see our food on local restaurant tables.
Cute watchdogs with their even cuter puppies are a great reason to visit Turntime.
So you met our large dogs in the field, and then we've got Willow here, who is our mama of this group of puppies. So when we need to do replacement dogs, or as our farm grows, we need maybe dogs that go with a new group. So we develop our own large guardian dogs here. And so back here at the stable, this is kind of where we raise our puppies. We have a group of goats that live here. We've got pigs, we've got chickens here. We kind of call it our training ground so that they're not out in an open field having to deal with predators at a young age. We grow them and mature them. We kind of call it our training ground so that they're not out in an open field having to deal with predators at a young age.
So yeah, that's what I was waiting on.
Yeah, sorry.
Hello, hello. And they're as sweet as can be. Even Mom was very sweet, but if I roll around here at night.
You roll around here at night or in the pasture in the dark, they're very, very instinctual to guard. Every morning, our juvenile birds, which these are our meat birds, a Freedom Ranger they're called, they spend 3 weeks in a brooder. They'll spend 2 weeks in these mobile pens that have no bottom on them. We move them each morning so that they have fresh ground, fresh bugs to eat. The goal is to drag it while avoiding the small birds, but not lifting it to where they can get out.
Oh, that's tricky. And if you mess up, it's bad news for the birds.
It's bad news for the birds, yes.
I apologize in advance, fellas. Lift with the legs.
You'll come straight up and just slowly, once you get moving, you'll start to feel.
Oh, they're cooperating, okay. Watch out, guy in the back, move. And
I see success from my end.
all right.
Good job, David.
Yes, thank you, thank you. I think
All right, so tomorrow we'll maybe do all 15 tomorrow?
We'll see, we'll see. Yeah, I might, where are we going tomorrow? I think we're going to the other side of Harris County, but I might show up, I'll see.
All right, perfect.
We now take a short fork in the road from Ellerslie over to Waverly Hall to discover a few goats who are doing less jumping and more milking. These are the Alpine goats of Simply Dutch Farm. They are loved, they are talented, and they are all responsible for producing an amazing line of milk, cheese, and soaps right here in Harris County, Georgia.
We raise a select herd of purebred French mountain goats called Alpines from the Alps. They're all registered, they're all purebred. Of course, they were imported years ago, so we call them American Alpines now. The milk that we get from them is the closest thing in the world to human mother's milk. And so when you drink it, if you're lactose intolerant or have any problems like that, you will not with this. You can raise just about any animal in the world on this milk, and you'll find it a very creamy, smooth milk. We have people who show goats professionally who come buy off of our stock. And they take them to shows and stuff like that. Now, we don't do that. They're just dairy goats here.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, I like the product.
Yeah, they stand around and produce milk and eat.
What are some of the challenges you have? I see you have a cat. I see you have some Great Pyrenees out here
Yes,
protecting the goats, I assume.
Absolutely.
So tell me about that setup.
The Great Pyrenees are naturally inclined to protect the goats. Now, you don't just go buy a Great Pyrenees, throw them out with the goats and hope it all works out, because it won't. So you got to train the dog. Once you get the dog trained up, they're amazing. They're amazing animals. When the tornado hit us, we used to live in a forest. All these trees were wiped out. We even had virgin forest on the back of our land, never touched by an axe, and the tornado took them all out. All those trees hit our fences. And our Great Pyrenees at the time, we had two. One was a small puppy, so she ran and hid. But the large Great Pyrenees who've been guarding the herd for years, rounded up all 50 goats, put them into a circle, and kept them there, wouldn't let them go anywhere until we came out and we built a fence around them and protected them. So that's how they work for you. The Great Pyrenees actually works for the goats. They protect the goats. They don't work so much for the farmer.
Visitors and school groups alike often make an appointment to visit the farm. Daniel and his wife Martha are fantastic hosts, and along with the goats themselves, make this experience a special one. Now, I've had goat milk before, but this time the taste was different from my past recollection. Oh, it's very smooth. I love it. I was expecting some kind of sour
Not at all.
taste, but it's great.
Not if you do it right.
You did it right.
Oh, I tried.
From the smooth and creamy milk to one of the many cheeses they make right here.
This is chèvre with a secret blend of herbs that we like to do. Chèvre is the French word for goats.
This is beautiful.
Okay, so that's our chèvre.
I can smell it. Mmm. It's so soft. Well, thank you for sharing your product, sharing your milk. Now we're going to do some milking.
Yep, we're going to feed the goats and get some milking done.
This is Serenita. Serenita is a goat. This is what makes the flavor too, what you feed them.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Even when I plant out there into the fields, I mean, it just looks like grass to you, but I've got like bird's foot trifoil. I try to plant legumes. There's a lot of chemistry that goes into this and a lot of knowledge to make sure your milk is sweet and not that bitter. I always tell my wife it's a science and an art.
Yeah.
The science part is knowing how to do it. The art part is knowing how to bring it back. Right here, and just kind of come up. Okay, come on, under here, under here.
Okay.
There you go.
Like that.
Yep, come around. She's
See,
not going to like that. Come around this way. Yep, now pinch, and then squeeze your fingers as you go down. Pinch tight and hold that. And then walk your fingers down. There you go. Your wrist should never move. There you go.
Okay.
Now release, more milk comes down. Pinch it, and walk it down.
There we go.
See? And then just release. More milk comes down, pinch it, and walk your fingers down like you're playing a musical instrument. There you go.
Daniel, Martha, and these goats have survived tornadoes, damaging ones, and every other little curveball Mother Nature could offer, but they've survived and persevered. And in the end, it's a tasty product, raised right in these rolling hills of Harris County, Georgia. So from jumping goats roasting coffee in Cleveland to less caffeinated goats offering fresh milk and cheese in Waverly Hall to a Claremont creamery boasting ice cream and farm fresh milk and a Turntime Farm in Ellerslie giving animals a diversity of living quarters. Tasty, creamy, joyful, and even jumpy, you'll find it all in the hills and dales of North and West Georgia. I'm David Zelski. See you at the next Fork in the Road. Fork in the Road was brought to you by